Sean Galloway. Today's December 28th, 2009. I'm sitting here with Christy Russ as part of the History Project, Carroll County Remembers. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
And I want to spend a little time, maybe 10, 15 minutes, talking about Carroll County with you.
Okay.
Are you a Carroll County native?
I am, yes. I no longer live here, but did live here for about 27 years.
Okay. Where do you live now?
I live in Frederick, so I haven't gone too far.
Oh, okay. And what part of Carroll County did you grow up in?
New Windsor, so the southern part of Carroll County.
Oh, okay. And give me a little bit about that. Give me a little bit of, what was it like growing up in New Windsor?
We were sort of on the outskirts, so not right in town. It was a nice place to grow up. I mean, I do remember complaining as a teenager that there was nothing around because we really were, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But it was a nice place to grow up. You felt comfortable there, very safe there.
Okay. What decade was this in?
I was born in 75, so this is, mid-70s up into the 90s when I went away to college.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
St. Mary's in Southern Maryland. So
okay, so you've been in Maryland the whole time.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And when you think about Carroll County, obviously a lot has changed since the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
What's changed the most for you when you come back to see home?
I think a lot of the developments and stuff at the time that we first moved out there weren't a lot of developments. It was more farms and individual homes. So there's a lot more development and definitely more traffic than there used to be.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have one younger sibling who's 7 years younger than me.
Okay. And did you guys play around a lot, or were you just were you fighting? Or?
We did. There's a pretty large age gap there, so we became closer as we got older. Mm-hmm. We're very close now, but as kids we were always sort of doing different things because
mm-hmm.
of our age gap.
What makes Carroll County so unique compared to any other place in Maryland?
I would say the fact that it has still remained fairly small town, although it's developed and grown. It still has more of that small town feel, and you have a lot of people that have spent their whole life here, mm-hmm. Which you don't find other places. I mean, I live in Frederick, and a lot of people have moved in and out of there. I work in Rockville, a very transient area. So I think that's probably one of the things that makes Carroll unique, is that there are a lot of people that move there and then spend decades mm-hmm. in Carroll.
Okay. When you what do you do for a living?
I'm a human resources manager.
Okay. Was that something that you did while living in Frederick? Was it something that you always did? Is that what you went to college for?
No, actually, I went to college for biology. I have mm-hmm. an undergrad degree in biology, did research for a while, mm-hmm. And then switched into HR about 10 years ago. So that's actually my second career, but the one that I've spent most of my time in.
Okay. All right. So give me an average day growing up in New Windsor as a teenager. Where'd you go to high school?
South Carroll.
Okay.
Which that's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how so?
It's grown tremendously. When you drive by there now, it doesn't even look like the same place that I went to school anymore. They've added a lot to the building. It's much larger. Mm-hmm. That's changed quite a bit.
Okay. So going back, give me an average day for you growing up in that area.
When I was a teenager, you'd go to school. After school, you might be in some after-school activities. There's always a lot of stuff going on that way. Like I said, we weren't in a major metropolitan area, so everybody drove. That was probably unique to maybe some more populated areas that pretty much everybody had a car at 16 because you couldn't get to things quite as easily as you could if you lived in a city or somewhere a little more populated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you play any sports or do any activities?
I wasn't into sports, but I sang.
Okay.
So I was always involved in the different groups. Madrigals, which is an a cappella group at South Carroll, I was involved in that.
Okay. All right. And when you went away to school at St. Mary's, mm-hmm. How was that different for you?
In some ways, not a whole lot, because if you've never been to Southern Maryland, it's a lot like Carroll County in that it's very small. There's the military base, but other than that, it's just really a small town feel, mm-hmm. Not very heavily populated. And the school is small, maybe about 1,600 students. The campus is pretty, it's right on the water. So in some ways, I didn't really leave. I went to a similar environment, just in another place in the state.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your family, your parents.
My parents, who you actually will be interviewing my mom shortly. My parents are great. I'm very fortunate to have them, as my mom is smiling about. Very close to them, always have been. They've always been very involved in my life, very supportive. So I'm really, fortunate to have them. My father's a local business owner, so he's always been really very tied to the community as well. which, you know, that was kind of a unique experience growing up too.
Was where you live, was it an area where everybody knew everybody type of thing?
Yeah, pretty much, and especially because he had the business, you had sort of that tie-in that you knew a lot of people, and you know, you saw a lot of the same people, and they knew you, or they knew you even if you didn't really know them. You know, frequently when I worked for him, they would come into the business and be like, "Oh, you're Tom's daughter." They, you know, knew immediately. It has sort of that.
So there was little room for error.
Right, exactly. You're not going to get away with anything.
Okay. All right. Do you think that was good for you growing up?
Yeah,
being in a community that tight knit.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it was a good experience, and you know, I always felt comfortable there. I always felt safe, so which was a nice thing.
How's Carroll County different today for the kids as opposed to it was when you were younger?
That would be kind of hard for me to say because I don't really know any young kids in the county at this point. Probably some things are very similar, I would think, because although they, you know, the areas have grown in their neighborhoods and stuff, it's still not a metropolitan area. So I'm sure there's still 16-year-old kids complaining to their parents that there's nowhere for them to go or nothing for them to do. I'm sure that's still still probably a common thing.
Okay. Do you think you talked about the development and everything, the houses and things like that.
Sure.
Do you think that the county is making strides to maybe cater to the youth as far as having more things for them to do? For all of them don't drive apparently. You know, it's more difficult for some of them to get around than others. Do you think the county is taking the right strides to, you know, make it so that they have something to do around here?
I couldn't really comment on that, to be honest with you, since I don't live here right at the moment. I'm not sure what changes they've made that way.
Okay.
I do know that when I was a teenager, I mean, you needed to have a car to get anywhere, and most people did, or they had someone that they could, you know, grab a ride with, because otherwise it was hard to do things or go places without that, because you're a little too isolated otherwise.
When you were growing up, what was your favorite thing to do in the area? Was it like go or attend? The whole county has a lot of things going on. There's tons of parades all the time and things like that. Did you have a favorite event that you like to go to?
Not anything in particular that I can think of. Nothing standing out offhand, no.
Okay. Now you said you sang. Did you ever do the what's the concert called?
The Steadfed?
The Steadfed.
Yeah, I participated in that pretty much most of the time I was in school. From the time I was in elementary school through middle, all through high school. Yeah.
Oh, so you did all three levels.
I
then.
did, yeah. I was in all county chorus. I was very involved in all that stuff. I kind of miss not having that outlet as an adult. But
so
yeah,
how was that for you? Doing the Steadfed basically all the way through.
I really enjoyed it. That was always a good experience. I had very good music teachers through all those years and really enjoyed the performance. And I always enjoyed singing, so it was a good experience.
Now, I don't know how rare it is because I really don't know anything about the Steadfed. But how rare is it to have somebody go from elementary all the way to high school? Was that common when you were going to school?
Probably not real common. I had always been involved in the choral music programs in the different schools. And there were some kids that did it the same, you know, as me throughout that period of time, but it's probably fairly rare that people would participate that whole span of their school career.
Yeah, I've been here for about 3 years now, and I've helped shoot the production for that often. It's a really good concert. Yeah, it is. Really, really in depth to see the kids, you know, take on and learn everything in such a short time. Right. Did you ever feel any stress from that? No, because I always enjoyed it, so that never. You know, that never fazed me. It never bothered me. I always enjoyed that part of it. Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything to add? Do you feel we touched on anything or on everything that we could? Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. Okay. That I can think of. Okay. Well, if you can give me one good, you know, message about Carroll County for for somebody that's never been to Carroll County, what would you say to that person about the area? It's beautiful. The landscape is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. The people are nice. I mean, it's a place that you can feel very comfortable in. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. And thank you for participating in Carroll County Remembers. You're very welcome. All right. And we're rolling. Okay. All right. Good morning. Today's December 20th.